Tend to を使えるとかっこいいです。Hi everyone, it's Scott here from That's English School. 今回は Tend という動詞をベースにしてすぐ使える英語を紹介します。結論から言うとこういう意味になります。何々しがちである。何々する傾向がある。何々になりやすい。どちらかといえば何々だ。基本的なパターンが2つあります。tend to と have a tendency to 一見難しく見えるかもしれませんが、実は意外と簡単です。あとはこれ、なんていうのかな、これ英会話で使っちゃったら結構しっかり者には見えますね。頭が良さそうとかですね。そういう言葉なんですよ。スラングではないですね。今から英語でレッスンをしますね。So buckle up and let's get this show on the road. We always use this basic grammar pattern. Tend to plus basic verb. For instance, I tend to drink coffee after dinner. We don't say, I tend to did, I tend to done, I tend to doing, I tend to will do. We do say, tend to do.
Awesome!
When you're changing the verb tense, you change the main verb, which is of course tend. Do, did, done. Tend, tended, tended. It's a simple ed ending. Easy peasy. It's just like other well-known combinations such as want to, have to, need to name but a few. So how about have a tendency to? The rule is the same. The main verb is have. For instance, I have a tendency to drink coffee after dinner. So it's basically the same meaning as I tend to drink coffee after dinner. What's the difference? Well, people tend to use tend to in a more casual conversation. There is a tendency to use have a tendency to in a more intellectual conversation. The word intellectual just means clever or intelligent. Are you with me so far? We can use tend to when things just happen because of a person's DNA, their character, or because of a certain set of conditions. Here are a few examples. Students have a tendency to waste time. You know, like playing video games or sleeping, all the good stuff. Older people tend to forget things. So actually, talking of older people forgetting things, I just saw the movie called The Father with Anthony Hopkins about senile dementia. Yeah, it was very sad. Cars have a tendency to slip on wet roads. Oops, there goes the postbox. He tends not to take his father's advice. I know how he feels with this one. Here is a key point. When we're using the negative form, we say tend not to instead of tend to not. It's not such a big deal, but it seems more natural to say it this way. Instead of saying he tends to not take his father's advice, it just seems better to say he tends not to take his father's advice. And now we're going over live to St. James's Park to interview the man of the match. We're here at St. James's Park with the man of the match, Bobby McTavish. All right, how you doing? That was a pretty intense game. You must be pleased with the result. We're delighted, aye. We tend to get a wee bit nervous when we play these big teams, you know, but the boys pulled through and we did well, aye. And how about that goal? You scored an absolute screamer. Thanks, aye. I practiced it all week in training, so I was just happy I could pull it off in the game, you know. You seem to have the tendency to leave your goals to the very last minute these days. It's getting to be a wee bit of a habit now. The gaffer's always saying to us, we're going to give him a heart attack one of these days. Yes, he does get a bit excited on the touchline, doesn't he? And I hear you've got an announcement for the fans. Aye, well, I've got some big news for you. We can also use tend to when we're talking about a trend, something which happens regularly and fairly predictably. Here are some examples. Jenny tends to lose weight in the summer. All I can say is, good luck, Jenny. He has a tendency to be pessimistic. So being pessimistic means to have a negative attitude. He tends to be late for meetings. As for me, I tend to be early. Women have a tendency to outlive men. Now she looks like she'll outlive us all. If something happens easily, or rather frequently, we can use tend to or have a tendency to. You want to see how it's used? Let's have a look. I tend to get headaches. So you can use this actually for a lot of health issues. I tend to get backaches. I tend to get stomach aches. I tend to have a toothache. All those kinds of things. This material has a tendency to get stained easily. But I suppose everything gets stained easily with red wine, doesn't it? Pregnant women tend to get constipated rather a lot. Okay, let's move on to the next one, I think. I have a tendency to put on weight easily. The story of my life, I tell you. Oh no, it's the dreaded scales! So, what's the big news, Bobby? Well, I've come to the end of my contract and I'll be moving on to a new club at the end of the season. You heard it here first, folks. Bobby McTavish is leaving his beloved Newcastle United. Well, there's been a tendency in the press to link me to clubs in Spain and Italy. Yes, we've all seen the reports, but I've been made an offer by Arsenal, and I've decided to accept their offer. Breaking news, everybody! Bobby McTavish is moving to Arsenal. I tend not to get excited by these things, but I'm pretty stoked, I must say. You must be over the moon. Well, as I said, I tend to keep things pretty low-key, you know, but I'm really grateful to the fans who've supported me over the years here. It's been great. Best of luck down south. Cheers. When you have a couple of choices, like agreeing or disagreeing, or casual clothes or more formal clothes, tend is the perfect word if you usually choose A over B. Here's what I mean. I have a tendency to agree. So this is a really great phrase. I strongly recommend learning this one. Japanese people tend to like beer more than wine. So I've always thought it's funny when people go to the izakaya or somewhere and everybody orders a beer for the first drink. Even people who actually don't really like beer. It's kind of funny, that one. I have a tendency to buy automatic cars. Well, they're just easier to drive, aren't they? I tend to choose organic vegetables, despite the price. But 745 yen for a carrot, that's asking a bit too much. It's homework time. Okay, I'm going to give you a Japanese sentence and I want you to put the answer down in the comments, okay? この日本語を英語にしてくださいね。コメント欄のところに入れてね。後でチェックしますので。Okay, so it's quite difficult for me to read this one. Wish me luck. It says 結婚という。結婚というと、悲観的なイメージを連想しがちである。Sorry, I didn't read that very well. Okay, so if you have any questions about this video, please also ask them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them too. Okay? 何か聞きたいことがありましたらね、それも コメント欄のところに何でも聞いてくださいね。Okay? And thank you very much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.